Check, check, check. That's going through, but I'm not hearing it in the ear. Oh, you need the power. Simple thing like that, I've done that.
Baldwin Wallace University, the Ohio Athletic Conference, and the National Collegiate Athletic Association prohibit the sale and/or consumption of any alcoholic beverage in or within the confines of the Tressel Field and the George Finnie Stadium. Tressel Field, Finnie Stadium, and the entire BW campus are designated as tobacco and smoke-free. We ask that you please refrain from smoking or using tobacco products while in the stadium or on campus. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. The NCAA and the Ohio Athletic Conference promote good sportsmanship by demonstrating respect for all student athletes, coaches, officials, and fans. Fan ridicule of the opposition is strictly prohibited. Degrading remarks will not be tolerated. Be proud, be loud, and be positive. Thank you.
Okay, now. Check 1, 2, 1, 2.
This game is not easy.
Okay.
Head coach for the Panthers, Nathan Whitehurst in his 4th season, assisted by Peter Butler. And now, the starting lineup for your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. Senior goalkeeper from Ridgefield, Ohio, number 38, Patrick Mahal. Sophomore defender from Strongsville, Ohio, number 4, Trevor Hom. Freshman midfielder from Berea, Ohio, number 5, Brandon Garabodi. Sophomore defender from Lakewood, Ohio, number 6, Attila Nagy. Freshman defender from Chagrin Falls, number 9, Zach Hoover. Senior midfielder from Kettering, Ohio, number 10, Rafael Davalos. Senior defender from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, number 12, Jake Woodruff. Senior forward from Parma, Ohio, number 18, Joey Geither. Sophomore forward from Amherst, Ohio, number 19, Mike Dubos. Senior midfielder from Berea, Ohio, number 20, Cannon Dees. And finally, senior forward from Berea, Ohio, number 25, Danny Ruppel. Baldwin Wallace is coached by Reed Ayers and assisted by Reese Canella. At this time, we ask that all fans please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America and those who protect our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national anthem.
And welcome to Tressel Field on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. It is a sun-drenched Saturday afternoon as the Yellow Jackets of BW get ready to take on Pitt-Bradford. Hi again, everybody. Welcome for joining us here on BWYellowJackets.com. Adam Mendoza along with Cole McDaniel here to bring you the action as the Yellow Jackets get ready to take on Pittsburgh-Bradford in a non-conference matchup. And really the big thing about today, Baldwin Wallace Soccer is celebrating 50 years of playing soccer here at the university.
Yeah, it's good to be with you here, Adam. And the one thing about this event is everybody's excited to have the alums back. It's definitely exciting to not only have a game, but have everybody back here from all the way up from the 1969 team all the way up to this team here now. It's a special event and a special day, and it's a game that BW would like to show up well and get the win to show to the alums, hey, this team's the real deal.
Well, BW comes into this matchup 3-2 on the year. They are 0-1. They are 0-1 here at home. Meanwhile, Pitt-Bradford just lost their last game, and they are at 3-1, and they are 1-1 away from their friendly confines in the field. As BW in their home gold jerseys with the white pants, they will be going left to right, and Pitt-Bradford in their traveling dark blue uniforms going right to left. And this match is underway as BW with control of it, but as you look at it, the keys going on early in this matchup between the two teams.
Well, I think the big key especially is it's a hot day out here, as we know, especially on turf fields. It adds about 5 to 10 degrees, so it's one game where the guys really need to be hydrating, but it's also one of those where you know how the college game works. It turns into a track meet. It's very fast. The key thing for this Yellow Jackets team specifically is they get into the attacking end. Just keep possession of the ball. It's a game where you're not going to want to run around all day, so try to keep possession.
Ruppel with it inside the box. He shoots, and he finds the back of the net as Danny Ruppel comes up with another goal, his 7th of the season. Just like that here in the first half, he was left alone in the box, went to the left side, and then found the back of the net.
And the big thing with Danny is that if you give him any inch on his left foot, he's going to hit the shot. It's one of the main reasons why we just honored him before this game. Danny had just broken the all-time goal scoring record here at Baldwin Wallace, and that's what he's here to do. He's here to score goals. That's why he's the top goal scorer in the history now of this program.
He picks up his 48th goal of the year. He's the all-time goal scorer at BW, the all-time points leader with 118. So he came into this match with 13 points on 6 goals and assists. And early on, when you look at it in this first minute, you've got to be impressed that Danny, inside the box from about 12 yards away, was able to get that one past the netminder. And I think as you look at it for the rest of the afternoon, he's going to be that go-to guy, but the defense for Pitt-Bradford is going to have to watch him and mark him very well.
And that will be the case because I talked to Reese Cannella, the assistant coach, just this week, and he was going through the game film, and Danny Ruppel on that right wing, his ability is to cut in, and they thought the weakness of the Pitt-Bradford defense would be at left back, and they liked the matchup they had there, so look for Danny Ruppel to be going at the left back all day.
Clay Cesani kicks that one away as we have the quick restart. BW once again in control of it just outside of the box area as they try to work it just outside that corner. BW coming into this game, as we said, scoring 13 goals. They're averaging 2.6 goals a game here this year.
Yeah, and it's one of those teams where they can score goals. It's a younger team in the defense. They've had to move some guys around. I think it's a team that really relies on that. It's important to try to get a shutout here, but if they can just continue to put the ball in the back of the net, they set themselves up in a good position to win.
Good lead pass right underneath as they were trying to get that to Thomas Kelly, who's 3rd in shots in the Allegheny Mountain Collegiate Conference. And the ball will go over to the Yellow Jackets as we are at 42-17 remaining in the first half of action here. BW quickly going on top 1-0 on a goal by Danny Ruppel. Yellow Jackets in the midfield area. Patience, the name of the game after scoring that quick goal.
Yeah, it's especially one of those things. The first 5 minutes are always important. Everybody says the first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of a half, and restarts. And so to get a goal so early, it's important, but you can't get your nerves too high in the sense of get too excited because that's when mistakes happen. So far, I'm pleased with the way the Yellow Jackets are controlling the ball.
Cannon D sends it down into the corner to Woodruff. He sends it across the goal mouth, and that goes out of play, and we'll have a quick restart on the far sideline. Just an absolute picture-perfect day after the horrible weather that we had Friday night in the greater Cleveland area where numerous thunderstorms just rolled through the area. But today, clouds in the sky, but really just another absolute gorgeous day for a soccer match here at Baldwin Wallace University as the Yellow Jackets, Duzos with it, playing it back out. Patience, patience, patience. Make good, crisp passes, trying to find that open man.
And last year at Pitt-Bradford, this team had a lot of success, and it looks like here, that one is called offsides. It's one of those situations where they knew this Pitt-Bradford team was improved from last year. The Yellow Jackets team, I was a part of that last year, and going there, we handled it pretty easily. Now, they play on a grass field. It's a bit slower of a game, so it's one of those things where being on the turf here, it'll be nice to be able to pass the ball around, possess it a little more than what could have been done last year as well.
And then when you look at how you try to get the makeup of the team, if you have a turf field as that quick play, as Pitt-Bradford tries to get it downfield, you look at the style of play. You know, when you're playing on turf, you want that faster guy.
Right. Yeah, you definitely do, because it's one of those things where, you know, guys can run fast. You have guys, especially up top for the Yellow Jackets, who move fast, but it's always a better way to play when you can pass the ball around, because the ball will move faster than any guy, no matter how fast he can run.
TJ Magro out of Orleans, New York, will get ready on the restart. Just outside of the arc at the top of the box, looks to go underneath. There is loose, and luckily the netminder, Patrick Mahal, comes in and makes a very nice play on the dive to the near side.
Yeah, and the attacking player for Pitt-Bradford got on the inside of Michael Duzos. Duzos stretched out his leg. I think he just barely got a touch, but Pat Mihal, he made a good decision to go down to ground early, and well done by Mihal. He was unstoppable in the last game at Worcester. He came up with some huge saves to really keep the shutout in that game.
And in that game, BW defeated Worcester 2-0. BW coming into this season with 12 lettermen back. As the play in the midfield, foul right there on Thomas Kelly. Quick restart for the Yellow Jackets as they try to get some good spacing out on the field. Pass to the near side, just trying to get it over to Jake Woodruff, a little bit too much ahead, and it goes out of play. 50-50 balls, very important to win those 50-50 balls.
It is important, and one thing I want to touch on is that pass from Ham that went out of bounds looking for Woodruff. That's one thing actually about Jake Woodruff. He actually came in late. He couldn't be here for preseason. He was serving with his internship with the Los Angeles Chargers out in LA, so he missed preseason and came in, and now he's starting today as Reed Watkins, a guy who usually starts at right back. He's not been able to play the last 2 games due to injury, as well as Bryce Posner is not in the midfield either today. So they're without those 2 guys, but they're still moving the ball around well for the most part, with having guys who hadn't actually been in and starting to start the season actually.
And Cole, being a former player, as Pitt-Bradford trying to make a move and a nice centering pass, but that one just outside of the goal crease gets kicked out of play. You know how these guys play. You've been there with them for 3 years. Talk about when, as a player, former player now, that mental aspect when you're coming into a match with a lot of things, a lot of auxiliary things going on, like the 50th anniversary of this program, of trying to focus and trying to really get that mind on the game, and a little bit of pressure because you're seeing some alums playing here.
Yeah, and I have been in plenty of high-pressure situations, plenty of big events. None like this 50th anniversary. This is definitely special, so this is something different for them to handle. But really, it's one of those things where you have to just take the excitement and dial in and focus. And really, I think some people take nervous energy and it can play against them. I would say just be more excited. The more you play with comfort and the more you enjoy it, I think the more successful you'll be in this game.
Crossing pass does not go, but the Yellow Jackets are able to track it down as they bring it out. Another shot on goal. That one just off the foot, right in front of the goal, and really not a good hit and good swing on it. Just missed hitting off the foot.
Yeah, and Cannon Dees, the senior midfielder, he's played a lot on the wing in past years, and now with some changes with Bryce Posner not in the midfield today, he's playing at the 10 at the center attacking mid spot. And Cannon Dees, a guy who's very good at crossing in. He's great with set pieces and crosses. A great ball, put it right on the freshman Brandon Garibaldi's foot. Garibaldi just not able to get enough power behind it.
Yellow Jackets in control in the midfield area, trying to play it up ahead. Attila Nagy with it. Good spacing again. Crisp passes, left side of the box. Now trying to go for a centering pass. Looking on the attack was Michael Dusos, and that ball got kicked away.
Yeah, Michael Duzos had an opportunity to maybe go on his left foot. Naturally, a right-footed player decided to go with the pass to Joey Geither. Geither, a guy who, he's a scrappy guy. He'll get in there, he'll poke it in, he'll get the goals. Just wasn't able to find his foot there.
Zach Hover on the throw-in. Nice long lead pass inside, and there's the goalkeeper, Cezanne, coming in to make the play. Cezanne, 77%
Ladies and
on
gentlemen,
his
please turn
saves
to
this
page 2
year.
of the BW numerical roster in your game program. If you have
He was the
BW head
Allegheny
coach
Mountain
Reed
Collegiate
Ayers'
Conference
signature,
Player
you're
of the
winner
Week
of
last
2
week.
Jimmy John sandwich cards. BW would like to thank Jimmy John's in Middleburg Heights for their support.
35-11 remaining in the first half. BW
BW
leading it 1-0. Danny Ruppel picking up his goal, his 7th of the season. Good long lead pass down the sidelines on the near side of the field to Woodruff. Tries a centering pass up top of the box. Miss hit there by Brandon Garibati. And we'll have a goal kick for Pitt-Bradford.
And that was a great pick out by the senior center midfielder, Rafael Davalos. And he found Woodruff on that far touchline. And Woodruff, a guy who's really having success today, running up and down that far touchline out of that right back spot. It's an opportunity for him to overlap Danny Ruppel on that right side.
Once again, BW doing a very good job on winning the 50-50 balls. There's a lead pass by Ruppel down over to Dees. Dees on the right side. Nice step over move. Looks for a centering pass, and that one goes above the goal net.
And again, I just mentioned him, Cannon Dees, a guy, you get him out there in those positions, and he gets the crosses in, and he's always going to put a good ball in, an opportunity there. And Geither just not quite able to get enough of a touch on it. But they've got the right looks right now. It looks like there could be another goal coming for sure.
Corner kick now for the Yellow Jackets. On the approach, the header controlled, and Cezanne does another nice job with the outlet. Quickly on that far side touchline, Pitt-Bradford in blue, moving it up over the midfield area. Trying to get the advance, but nothing there. Just a little bit too much of a pass there.
Well done by the Yellow Jackets to recover and stop that counter there.
BW now trying to go on their own counter as Ruppel tries to save it in bounds, but it goes out of bounds on that near side touchline. 1-0. BW with the lead. Ball controlled by Pitt-Bradford in the midfield area. Good defense there by the Yellow Jackets, trying to disrupt any type of offense, and here we get a turnover. Ruppel on a lead pass down outside of the box, but not able to control the ball was Dusos. Tried to catch it off the chest, but just was not able to get a good clean look, and the ball goes out of play.
That was a great feat from Danny Ruppel. He found that through ball. Really, it could have been Dusos or Joey Geither cutting in, who probably could have gotten to it. Again, it's one of those things where Dusos was going to have to bring it down off his chest, try to go with the left foot, not quite as comfortable with that. Defense able to break it up, but another good find by the Yellow Jackets on the offensive side.
27th corner kick of the year, as this one is sent high into the air and out of play by the Yellow Jackets as they lead it 1-0. 27 corner kicks, that shows that you're putting a lot of pressure on defenses.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where soccer's especially a game of you see a bunch of deflections, and it's oftentimes common to see the ball go out for a throw-in down in that corner area or out for the corners. So just as important as a corner is a long throw. That's how the game is today, and we see it with the Yellow Jackets as Hoover had taken one earlier as well. So corners and long throws really play a big factor, especially in a more narrow field.
You talked about the first part of the half, and really it's been a tilted field. BW has had a lot of pressure and possession time on the side of Pitt-Bradford.
It is hot out there, and I think they're doing well with possessing it around. No point in giving away needless turnovers like that there. That's where it could come to cost you, because counters will be dangerous in this game.
Now the Yellow Jackets getting it on the counter attack as they try to work it against two defenders. And the ball gets turned over. Ruppel giving chase on the defense. He'll get called for the quick foul, and we'll have the restart for Pitt-Bradford.
If anyone is missing their keys, they have been found and can be returned.
Spencer Sklar on that right side. Nice little lead pass, but the defense comes up very nicely. Now let's see what they can do on the counter attack.
Yeah, and that was Attila Nagy who picked it out. Nagy, actually a guy last year who played in the center midfield as the holding number 6, That's where he played last year, and now he switched back to left center back.
There's a shot. That one hits off the right post. Another return shot, good block by the defender, Michael Giapoulis, and he headed that one out of way, and I think he scrambled his eggs on that one.
Yeah, I think so, and it's what I said earlier about another goal looking like it was coming. Unfortunately, the senior Joey Geither just not quite enough bend on that ball to get in, but the opportunities are there, and Pitt-Bradford's really just trying to hold on.
Beautiful shot hitting the near side post, and that was flush on. You would hope that you could get that little deflection to go in, but that was a flush on post shot. BW doing a very good job attacking on the offensive
Tonight's
end.
men's soccer results and all other Yellow Jacket athletic results.
And
can
then
be
when you
accessed
look
through
at
the
it,
BW
BW
website
leading
at
in shots 5-1, and now
Results
another
are
quick
posted within
attack.
an hour after most athletic events.
That pass intended for Dusos. Pass went to his left on the backside, and he was cutting towards the penalty area.
And one thing you mentioned about hitting square off the post, you know, especially with it being the 50th anniversary and we have all the older soccer players coming back as well. I guess the one thing to mention is back in the day, the old goals used to be square. And the frame of the goal, if you hit it square like that, it would come straight out. Anymore, now that it's been the rounded post for so long, you never know where it's going to kick. You know, it's one of those things where it could shoot out to the outside. It could easily kick in, as you'll see a lot of guys score off of the post. But very rarely do you see it hit square off and just come straight back out anymore.
It could be a fraction of an inch, quarter inch, or whatever that could make the difference in how that ball moves off the post. Again, BW with control of it as we are in the 29th minute here of the first half, and BW still with a lot of control. Nice back heel pass, trying to get a cutter of Joey Geither, but just a little bit too much on that lead heel pass. Kelly of Pitt-Bradford with it on the far side, out of bounds. On the far side touchline, it'll go back to BW. 1-0, our score here. Absolute gorgeous day for a match here on a Saturday afternoon. Checking out of the match will be Spencer Sklar. Checking in will be number 11, Austin Hogan. So Pitt-Bradford, when you look at their numbers, not as deep of a roster as Baldwin Wallace.
Yeah, and BW has a big roster, and they've got everybody on the bench today. So that's 43 guys down there. They have plenty of depth, plenty of guys they can go to, and it's a luxury, especially in days that are hot like this, because I would expect to see about 20 guys honestly play today just because of how the game's going and also because of the heat.
Trying to make that attack on the far side near the end line, and BW doing a very good job marking the ball.
Yeah, and it's always important to mark well, and that's what we'll see here with this corner. It's one of those things where you can dominate a game, and soccer's something where you make one little slip up, let one little guy go, and it messes up things for the game. So if they can continue to mark properly, here it will be on the corner.
Pitt-Bradford on the corner inside the box area and cleared out on a nice play by the Yellow Jackets, as let's see if they can get a nice counterattack, but nothing there on their counter. Corners this year, 27 for Pitt-Bradford. '27th minute here in the first half. BW, as we've talked about it, really controlling most of the play this afternoon. Errant pass, nobody there. Cezanne comes up with it as University of Pitt-Bradford tries to regroup offensively. They did have one nice move down the field to our left, but really it's been BW holding it in the own defensive end of Pitt-Bradford.
Yeah, the defense has done a good job at not only just marking up and coming up and winning the headers, winning the 50-50 balls, but they're also recovering well when there's a possibility of a counterattack going against them. And I've been impressed with the defensive effort so far in this game.
5 shots on goal for BW in this first half. Top of the arc of the box. Trying to lay it off, but there's the defense. Now trying to go in transition. Kelly passes it to the right side. Off his foot, tracked down by Zach Hover. So just when you think Pitt-Bradford is able to make some type of counter, just an errant pass.
Yeah, and that will always hurt you. It's one of those things where, and maybe it could be a little bit of the element of these guys are used to playing on grass, so you have to take a little bit of heat off of your pass because it will fly on the turf.
And there is that difference, especially, and I'm sure teams, when they know what kind of opponent comes in that mental aspect, the grass could be a little higher, could be a little lower if they're a speedy team. Kind of depends on the way they are set up to their makeup of the team.
Yeah, but definitely will play to the home team's advantage if they're used to playing on a certain type of turf or a certain type of grass, and depending upon how the length is. I mean, people don't realize it, but a lot of that can change how the game flows.
Hom with it, working it to the right side, Duzos. And also, when you're playing on turf, you'll get a bounce, but you also get kind of a skip on those really hard passes and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where, especially if it's a wet day, thankfully for the guys today, it's dry, so you're not going to get as much of that skip. But certainly if turf does get wet, it does get a little slick, and it will skip, and it'll have a weird little thing where it's not going to bounce as high, but it's going to, like, right at your shin guard height hit you.
There's a pass to the far side on the corner, and that's where the netminders have to really pay attention.
And 2 substitutions for the Yellow Jackets as Cannon Dees and Michael Duzos check out of the game, and coming in at the center attacking mid spot is number 11, Dylan Keeling, and up top at the center striker is number 34, Jared Webb.
Number 20. Also, number 34, Jared Webb. Number 19.
So now the Yellow Jackets with control of it in the midfield area.
Justin Turner.
Good attack right there, getting the defensive turnover. Ryder. And again, they don't get much possession time. BW again trying to go on the attack, looking on that right side, was looking for Ruppel on that long lead on the near side of the field.
No, and it's been suffocating defense so far, and a guy who's really impressed me is Attila Nagy back there in the left center back spot. I mean, like I said, this is still early in the season. He's only really had, about 6 games at that left center back spot so far, with preseason included, considering the alumni game, and then also the games in the regular season. And he's doing well transitioning into that spot.
Webb was trying to go on the attack on the left side, took a shot, got taken down in the box area, but the referee just said, gentlemen, up, let's move it and keep on playing. No penalty called. Some of the folks here at Tressel Field thought there may have been a penalty.
And Webb up there's a different style of player from Michael Duzos. Michael Duzos is going to run through. He's going to find maybe the through balls from his teammates a little more. Webb's more of a sturdy body. He's going to be more of a hold-up guy as you see him bring the ball down, and he'll look to pass it back to the midfielding players coming for support.
And you look at him with those fresh legs, a lot of speed out there from Webb.
Yep.
Just outside of the box area, Hover. Lost it. Here comes Pitt-Bradford. Trying to turn and counter. Looking for the crossing pattern. Nothing there. Just can't get it. And you talked about the turf, and it might be that is the difference where their touch not as crisp here on the turf.
It's just not there, and they can't seem to get past the Yellow Jackets' 40-yard line.
Ruppel onside, getting the lead. Looks for that left footer, takes a shot. Good defensive block being made by Hunter Penny. You're talking about that left foot. He gets it on the near side of the field, and then he just starts to weave his way towards the middle, and he wants to unload with that left foot.
And Danny Ruppel's fast, but it's something I talked about this summer when he was playing for Cleveland SC, and I mentioned his first couple steps. He's got the fastest first 3 steps of anybody I've ever played against, and just that quick acceleration burst does it, and he's gone.
That ball going into the hands of Zazani, and that's what you want. You want to have that quick step because you want to beat that defender that's marking you.
And the only way to play Danny Rupel is to force him to his right foot, and then as he goes to his right foot, you get your body into him. That's about the only way you can handle Rupel. And today, Pitt-Bradford not doing it. They're letting him go on his left foot, and that's very dangerous.
Mihal doing a good job. Not much work for him back for the BW Nets, but really the defense for the Yellow Jackets doing very well, marking the ball, winning 50-50 balls. All big keys in the match today as they lead it 1-0. Another turnover in the midfield area. Defenders now starting to move and get that attack going. BW in the gold shirts and the white pants. Passed too much of a lead that time as they were trying to look for Michael Duzos.
And one thing to start that attack, that was from Trevor Ham in the defense. He was a guy last year as a freshman who had a very successful year, was recognized as an all-conference player. He's an outstanding center back, but one thing he can do is you see some center backs are just strictly defensive. He can bring the ball forward, and he can find the through passes, and he found Davalos there, and it was another good find.
Ball intercepted by the Yellow Jackets. Trying to get good possession and good control to try to start the offense. Weak pass, but BW regains possession, trying to work it on that far left side outside of the box area. Two defenders from Pitt-Bradford come in to make the move, and ball goes out of play, and it will be Pitt-Bradford getting ready on the restart. 18:51 remaining in the first half. BW scoring in the first minute of the game. Danny Rupel picking up his 48th goal of his career here at BW.
And for those who are possibly tuning in late, it's one of those games where despite seeing the score as 1-0 right now, it's a game where BW's dominated the possession. They've had the shots. They've hit the upright as well. They just haven't been able to quite get the goals, but they have had the opportunities.
Garibaldi looking and sending it over to Rupel. Tries to make that move to the left, gets a give and go. Left side of the mouth of the goal and brings it back to the end line. Tries a pass up to Webb as the attack continues. Inside, dangerous play and a good save there by Cesani.
Well done by Dylan Keeling to bring the ball down, cut back, get a good shot off. It looked like he was looking for the far post, looking to sneak it in the backside. Just wasn't able to whip it around and went straight into the goalkeeper's arms.
And BW on that possession, they weren't over anxious. They did not try to work too fast. They looked for the open passes to try to get that shot going.
Yeah, and that's one where Rupel possibly could have had the opportunity to hit it. A lot of defenders in front. I think he figured that there was probably going to be a deflection. He decided to take it and cross it in, and I think that was a smart move.
Webb on the left side was looking for a centering pass, and the goaltender comes in to break up the play as BW gets control of it in the midfield area once again. Pressure. BW putting a lot of pressure on Pitt-Bradford here this afternoon, leading at 1-0.
And the one thing that's big with soccer is in any sport specifically, obviously, you know, a game like basketball, there is a shot clock, so you can only keep it for so long. But the more you just swing the ball around, the more you pass it, the more you make the other team run. And I think Pitt-Bradford's just starting to get tired. It looks like they're wearing down, and BW continues to creep towards their goal box.
Nice passes here in the midfield, but they turn the ball over. And let's see if Pitt-Bradford can do anything. Nope, there's an interception and a steal, the turnover by the Yellow Jackets as they were trying to look for that lead pass to Rupel as one of the BW players gets taken down. That is Zach Hover. And it looks like it. You look at Pitt-Bradford, the demeanor, their body language, looking at Chase Ryder bent over just outside of the box area. They have been forced on their heels throughout this first half.
They have. And as Zach Hoover was taken down there, Attila Nagy's going on the ball. This surprises me. He's the biggest guy out there. I figured he would have gone up for the header here.
On the header, loose ball in front, and they're going to say dangerous play. And
nothing you can do about that if you're Rafael Davalos. He's just looking for the ball. He didn't know the goalkeeper was there. And if the goalkeeper gets bumped and goes to ground, he'll usually get the benefit of the doubt.
trying to punch that ball out. And then one thing I've noticed here, boy, BW winning a lot of the 50-50 balls.
They have, and that's important. That's one of the key factors always, especially if you have a team pinned back and there's a lot of goal kicks. You want to win the headers. You want to win those 50-50s.
BW 2-1 on corners this afternoon, but they're out shooting Pitt-Bradford 8-1 with 3 shots on goal. Webb looking, has it. Nice pass to the right side, trying to get the attack, but the ball kicked away. It's like the defense will look at Ruppel in that middle, but if you sneak somebody on that wing, the defense may not take notice of the wing player.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, especially with Ruppel being a left-footed player. And even though he's on the right wing, he'll sneak into the middle, and that opens up the whole outside, and you see a lot of guys coming from the midfield or even from right back who come up around on that right-hand side.
BW making a couple of other substitutions, and I think the numbers for BW, that's gonna that is going to make a huge difference.
Number 32, John Taskar, came in the midfield, as well as number 7, the freshman forward, Ondash Fabian.
Webb goes in, left side pass on the back heel, and the BW Yellow Jackets get another beautiful goal from the right side towards the middle to the left, and BW goes up 2-0.
And I just called his name, Ondash Fabian. The forward comes in. We've seen him play in the midfield up top. I've seen him score before. He actually had the leveler earlier in the season against Allegheny. BW went down 1-0. Ondash, he came in. He evened it up, and BW did go on to win that game in overtime. So again, good job by Ondash there from the left wing position to come up and get the easy tap in.
And they had the goalkeeper way out of position, and they just got it to that left side. The patience again that we talked about. They had that patience. They weren't over anxious on the passes. When they saw the goal mouth open, it's like Christmas Christmas in September for the Yellow Jackets. And for Ondash Fabian, his second goal of the season gives him 5 points on the year. Again, BW getting control of the ball.
Yeah, and as an attacker, that's one of those things where you get an easy sitter, the goal's wide open. All you have to do is make sure you get the proper contact on and don't somehow blow it wide or blow it over because you got too excited. But as an attacker, there's no better feeling than seeing that ball sitting right there with no goaltender.
But we've seen it time and time again. You have that open net and it's a miss hit or something like that, and they're thinking, oh my goodness, give me that opportunity one more time.
Right, and not there. The freshman was able to keep his composure and put it in. Well done.
Davalos trying to work it down back on the defensive side as Pitt-Bradford working it into the corner. Davalos doing a nice job defensively. We've seen him going in and attacking the ball today.
And right here, if they can find the through pass, and they do, this could be a counter, and the back heel was not the move to go there, but Dylan Keeling tried to make it happen.
I think you saw the play develop. They had the ball on the far side of the midfield. They had Ruppel coming in on the near side. And I think if they would have hit it a little better on that back heel pass, they would have swung the ball over to the near side of the field.
And that foul there was just a frustration foul. You can tell it's one of those where you get tired of chasing the ball around after a while and already being down 2-0. Big hit as Rafael Davalos went to ground. And no card there for the official, but he blew it dead, and you could tell he had warned the player.
Off the defender, now a shot there from the corner, headed away. Good defense pressure, and you talk about the frustration, chasing the ball. Pitt-Bradford is really chasing the ball this afternoon because BW is just really putting a lot of pressure. Possession time, very big for the Yellow Jackets. Another centering pass, and could not connect on that one in front of the nets.
And that's a brilliant ball from the senior right back, Jake Woodruff. He put his laces through it. He drove it low on the ground, and it skated right across the 6. And for anybody who plays in the defense, whether it's the goalkeeper or defender, a ball rolling across your 6 or just skipping low is very scary and hard to deal with.
Another goal kick by Pitt-Bradford into the midfield area, and again, BW doing a very good job of controlling the 50-50 balls as this one is cleared out by the defender on a good clear out. And really, we've only seen maybe less than a handful of opportunities for Pitt-Bradford to really attack on BW this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a struggle to even get past the 40-yard line, and right there, a little bit of a scramble on the ground. Woodruff couldn't get up as the player was standing above him.
He and Chase Ryder were intertwined on the near side of the field.
And I think there it was so 50-50 on who actually was making the contact that because Penn State Bradford had the ball, I think the official gave them benefit of the doubt. They get the free kick here, and one of their only opportunities to get the ball in their attacking half.
Good lead inside as that one's in the box, and that one's kicked away to the left side of the goal mouth. And only the second shot on goal for Pitt-Bradford today.
Yeah, and well done by Trevor Ham, the center back, coming forward, and it looked like there was a possibility for a good shot on goal. Ham stretched out his leg and deflected it.
Second corner by Pitt-Bradford, and Yellow Jackets with control, sending it upfield on that far sideline. Yellow Jackets looking to take their time, look for the counter. Ball up in the air again, 50-50 ball one, controlling it on that far side. Andros with it. Ball kicked away. You have to give a lot of credit to the defense of Pitt-Bradford as really forcing a lot of the passes to the outside and doing a good job defensively, even though they've given up 2 goals here in the first half, as we're down to 9:48 to go in the first half of action.
They've made the most of what they've been given. They've been dealt a hard hand with the attacking players coming at them consistently, and you have guys like Danny Rupp, or now Joey Geither is on the sideline, but you have experienced senior players, and then you have young, fresh blood coming in as substitutes, and they can just keep running at you, and it is very hard when you're a defender. And Pitt-Bradford, you know, they're trying to not break, but it's hard, so you have to bend a little bit, but it's tough against this team.
They were coming into this season hoping to break into the top 6 of their conference, and the top 6 in their conference makes their postseason tournament. So that's one of the things that they're trying to achieve, is they'll be getting ready for conference play, and they're coming in at 3-1. BW soon will be opening up OAC conference play. Ball played back to the midfield area. Cross the field on the pass. Yellow Jackets, staunch defense. Davalos comes in, takes the ball away. Looks to turn upfield. Sends the lead pass too far that time. Looking for Andros Fabian. 2-0. BW with the lead here. Late in the first half, you talked about cutting the first half in sections. Now we're down to the final 8 minutes, and the strategy for BW going into the final 8 minutes, keep the attack pressure going up and just watch out that you don't get caught shorthanded.
Yeah, and the biggest thing in the last couple minutes of a half, all the momentum in their favor in this game. And you just don't want to have any slip up. You don't want to give up a goal and go in just up 2-1 at halftime, because that could be a momentum shifter.
Olawafani Soimi is up top, and again, the defense just collapsing anytime that ball goes outside of the goal crease area.
Yeah, and that one was Taskar, the midfielder, who came back and poked it away. And that's one thing, the defense has had good help from the midfield.
Now on the counter, BW looking for Webb on the centering pass. Broken up, BW regaining control. Looking for the pass on the left. Tries to go to Ruppel on the near side, and again, after the clear out, BW gains control in the center circle area. Down to 7 minutes remaining. Nice lead pass for Ruppel, alone inside the box, left side. He shoots, he misses, and they're going to call an offsides.
And that one was a very close offsides call. And Ruppel, especially a guy on that left foot, you very rarely see him miss sneaking that one in for a goal. But I guess for Ruppel, he would have been disappointed if he was on sides and missed that one. So I guess for him, gets the offsides call.
Very close. Very, very close for him on that offsides. 6.5 remaining in the first half. Shots on goal 9-2 for BW in the lead. Pressure has been incredible for the Yellow Jackets this afternoon. Jared Webb turns, fires. Nice save there by Cezanne. That one about waist high, rocket shot off the right foot.
And that was a very hard shot, a low screamer, but good job by the goalkeeper to come up with the save there.
Again, BW getting it. Webb alone. Onside, right side, shoots. Kick save there. Cezanne coming in with a nice kick save. Webb again, second good attempt.
And now coming on for the last 5 minutes of this first half, as again, this is the 50th anniversary of Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jacket Soccer, and we have a member of the 1969 men's soccer team as joining me here is Jim Clark. So Jim, thank you for joining in, again, being a member of the first BW soccer team, the 1969 team. What's it like to be back here for this event and get to see these guys play?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity to look at the way both BW and soccer in general has evolved since 1969. Very impressed with BW's ball handling and passing ability.
Now, you and I talked a little bit before this game, and you talked about the experience of being a part of that first team. Now, where did you play your games at?
All of our games were played on the fairgrounds parking lot, and that created some interesting situations. We didn't have any AstroTurf, as you can imagine, so when it rains like it did last night, we continued to have our games.
Entering the game for Baldwin Wallace, number 28, Nick.
And yeah, that's definitely exciting. And for those who don't necessarily know the Berea area, right across Bagley Road, right over there's the fairgrounds, so very close to campus. It's just different thinking about playing over there at the fairgrounds parking lot rather than on the AstroTurf. It'd be hard for guys to imagine not being in the stadium.
One of the injuries that one of our high scorers, a guy named Al Sloshka, received during one of the games was a gash in his leg that required 10 stitches from a rock in the middle of the field. So things were a little different than they are today.
Wow, yeah, that is something you would probably not see in today's day. Now, one thing really quick, couple substitutions for BW. The freshman defender Alex Kleck has checked into the game, as well as David Quayle on the left wing, and also Nick Surwitz in the midfield. Now, also one thing I want to ask you about is, you know, you've gotten to talk to a bunch of people here today, and you're getting to see this game, and you talked about the game, but what's it like to talk to the guys who played after you, the other alums?
To tell you the truth, I haven't had a lot of opportunity to talk to some of the other alums. I did watch the alumni game, and I was impressed with the quality of the alumni game. In particular, the goalies did an excellent job. So, I appreciate this opportunity that BW has given us to come back and enjoy a game watching BW against Pitt-Bradford.
Now, back in the day, what was your experience like as, all these guys, they care about the soccer program, they play soccer as well, but all these guys are students too. They're student athletes. What was your BW experience like?
Well, I had studied to become a teacher, and in those days when you got your teaching degree,
everyone participating in the halftime ceremonies, please begin reporting to the 50-yard line gate on the west side of the stadium. Thank you.
In those days when you got your teaching degree, you were qualified for a variety of topics. For instance, I could teach HPE, general science, biology, chemistry, or physics. Now I know it's specified, so it's 1 through 3 or 3 through 6, middle school, junior high school. It was much more wide open then than it is now.
Yeah, and once again, just a reminder for those, I am Cole McDaniel. I'm here talking with Jim Clark. And Jim, a guy who was a member of that first Baldwin Wallace soccer team, so very special, 50 years ago. And we're just touching on this, and just quick reminders, we're down into the last minute of this first half. The Yellow Jackets up 2-0. Adam Mendoza will be joining us once again in the second half. But Jim, definitely glad to have you up here and talk about your experience. And what do you hope to see out of this second half from these guys?
I'd like to continue to watch them pass the ball. I'm just so impressed with the teamwork that they're exhibiting. Back in '69, the sport was not nearly as refined as it is now. Just starting out, lots of guys had either played football or had played soccer in very small schools. For instance, there were only 3 or 4 players from Ohio in 1969. Most of them were from other states or other countries. Now I notice all but one of the starters were from Ohio.
Yeah, I bet the game has changed in that sense. You know, soccer, you know, all sports really in college, you see a lot of recruiting and people branching out, and the coaches are very busy with that. So there are guys from all over on both of these teams here actually today. So now as we're down into the last 6 seconds, it looks like this half is all but over, and it will be. So we're going to go into half, and your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets are leading 2-0. We're going to take a quick break during halftime, and then I myself, Cole McDaniel, along with Adam Mendoza, will be back in the second half as we continue this Baldwin Wallace soccer action. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Thank you as well, Jim, for also being on here.
Thanks for the opportunity. Bye.
And welcome back as we are getting set for the second half of action. BW leading it over Pitt-Bradford 2-0. As we take a look at some of the numbers, we've talked about it, Adam Mendoza and Colt McDaniel here at Tressel Field. We talked about how much time BW has had on the pitch on the defensive side for Pitt-Bradford, and it shows in shots. BW out shooting Pitt-Bradford 11-1 this afternoon.
Yeah, and we talked about it. It was about possessing the ball and not trying to make it too much of a track meet. And this is the difference is, you know, bringing up Cleveland SC, who played here and played in the NPSL. You get some of the guys who've been around the game for a lot longer and don't really want a track meet game. They want to possess it around a little bit more. So they'll swing the ball. And it's different for when you see the college guys out here. It's track meet. They're running back and forth and up and down the field. So when you see a team like BW and they're playing the way they are today and moving it around, and you know, even though it's not a track meet, the game's still very quick because they're moving the ball in and out of the midfield well. And I appreciate that with how they played in the first half. And if they continue to do that in the second, I see no reason why they shouldn't come away with the victory here.
BW with 2 corner kicks in the first half. They do have 3 offside calls, but that shows the pressure that they've been putting on the University of Pittsburgh-Bradford here this afternoon, as a couple of goals here by the Yellow Jackets. And really it started off with Danny Ruppel getting a goal early on, and then Andras Fabian getting that second goal from an assist from Dylan Keeling, and that's where we're at. And as we get ready, Cole, for the second half of action, is it going to be the same thing? Does BW keep the pressure on? It gives Pitt-Bradford a little bit of time after the half. They can maybe regain some of the legs, but the depth of the roster, could that be the big factor in the second half?
I think what we're going to see in the second half, we might see the ball actually in the air a little bit more, because the thing to point out is we see the American flag out here and also all the corner flags. The wind is now at the back of the Yellow Jackets, so they're going with the wind helping them this half. So I think expect some through balls, expect to see the ball in the air a little bit more and try to float it over the back line of Pitt-Bradford.
Mihal is back in the net. Only 1 save for him in the game, and that's because there was only just 1 shot on goal by Pitt-Bradford, showing the possession time and really the tilted field by the Yellow Jackets this afternoon.
And there, Jared Webb, the freshman, came in, and lots of contact came through the back of the defender, and it's going to be called against him. He's a guy who came in as a sub in the first half. He's starting out here in the second half. A couple guys actually are now on the field starting out this second half who came in as subs. Jared Webb up there at the forward spot, as well as number 11, Dylan Keeling in the midfield, and also John Taskar in the midfield as well. Those guys did not start the first half, but they do start in the second.
Webb out of Brother Rice High School in the Michigan area, but when you look at him, very big, strong body up top, you know.
Yeah,
looks like he could be on the football team instead of the soccer team. He's got that build, but that gives that upper body strength to really ward off defenders.
Yeah, and the football team playing at Otterbein right now, a conference foe, and they're having a pretty successful game right now as they lead. But yeah, Jared Webb, you look at him, and he's a guy that you look at him and say, is that a football linebacker or not? It's like, no, he's a freshman forward for the men's soccer team, so a very sturdy body up front.
And we saw the quickness that he does have when he came out early in the match, just exhibiting that quick speed, that first step that you talked about on some of the players here for this BW team. You get that quick first step, and that's going to make a lot of things happen.
And there's Attila Nagy looking for Dylan Keeling in the midfield. Could not quite connect, but we've seen that from the defenders for the Yellow Jackets too. The center backs have come forward, and they've been playing the through balls as well.
Good takeaway there by BW as they look to go on the counter. Webb, right side. Tried to send that one through. Good defense there by Pitt-Bradford.
And Webb should have tried to take that on his right foot and tried to beat the defender to clear some room. Could not do that there. In the deflection, they'll get the corner, but Dylan Keeling at that center attacking mid, that number 10 spot, a beautiful find there. Looked to the back post, and it was just a perfectly weighted ball to get to Webb.
So now the third corner of the game.
Danny Ruppel.
Ruppel and Davalos. over there on the side, but it'll be Ruppel will take that corner from the far side of the field. Nice approach, cleared away.
And this is one where Ruppel's left foot and swinging it in, as well as the wind blowing towards the goal. This is one where it could float in, and it's going to go straight on top of the keeper.
Another floater on that back post and cleared out by the University of Pitt-Bradford as they'll move it over to the near side of the field.
And Rafael Davalos will come over. Looks like he'll take it, and John Taskar will provide the support. And again, looking for that in-swinger on this corner.
Number 10, Rafael Davalos.
And Davalos, as you said, with the right foot, swings it through to the backside, header, and Cezanne right there to make the save. That is his 5th save of the game.
And one thing about this Yellow Jackets team is, you know, through all my years of playing with them, never the biggest team. We had some big guys here and there, but a lot of teams were bigger than us, and it was hard in the air. There's a lot of size in that defense this year with Trevor Ham and Attila Nagy, as well as Hoover's been starting lately because Reed Watkins is out as well. And so with Hoover in, it's one of those situations where you've got size, not only defensively, but to send them up for corners, and that's a luxury to have.
Nice little adjustment pass there over to Geither, and that ball gets taken away. And we've seen more in this second half, pretty balanced as it comes to possession time here, unlike the first half, where BW had so much control of the possession of the ball.
And this is a team where I think the Yellow Jackets are solid in a lot of their play, but one thing that this team really needs to change, and I don't know if it relates to how they get ready for the second half coming out of halftime, or what it is or what needs to change, but it's often a team that starts very slow in the first 5 minutes of the second half, more than any other period of a game. And it's a place where I think other teams could strike. I don't know if Pitt-Bradford will do it here today, but I think it's one reason why we're seeing more balanced possession right now.
Davalos trying to work on the mark on that far side. BW will get the quick restart after the foul called against Pitt-Bradford. Ball in the midfield, little floater to the near side. Hoover with it. Sends it up ahead on that far right side. Ruppel was trying to track it down into that corner. Not able to. BW will regain it. Quick throw in by Danny Ruppel.
It looks like Giopoulos, the center back for Pitt-Bradford, is still down. He went down as he tried to clear it. Maybe that's a cramp. Not sure, but he is still down. The official's going to stop the play as the Yellow Jackets wanted to go for the early throw. But that long ball that led to that, Danny Ruppel, again, just blowing by the left back. And that's the matchup the Yellow Jackets have looked to all day, and they knew it was the matchup they were hoping for, is Danny Ruppel on that far side.
Earlier or late in the first half, you had the interview with Jim Clark, who was part of that 1969 BW soccer team, the first one. And I thought it was a great interview, and I thought what was the most interesting aspect of what he was talking about is where BW played. And playing that game over at the fairgrounds parking lot. And, you know, in the late 60s and early 70s, soccer really, it was a niche sport in this country. The North American Soccer League was just starting to try to get out there. You know, the biggest name of the time at that time was Pele. And so worldwide, it's always been a big sport. But when you get the aspect of this game was played on a grassy parking lot across the street from the campus, very, very interesting, because if you've gone to any events, you've seen what that parking lot was. It was in much better shape back then than it is now.
Right, yeah, and it's the offsides there on Joey Geither will get called, and actually, no, they're going to call the free kick prior to the offsides, so the Yellow Jackets are in a good position to get a shot off. But about where they're playing, I think that's so interesting, because we think about how, sure, some teams, played on grass, or some teams early on. Actually, in this stadium, I was going through the archives not too long ago, as I do a lot of the video stuff for this Yellow Jackets team as well, and was going through all the old pictures and just looking at, the very old AstroTurf. You remember the AstroTurf that had like that bluish, greenish color.
And it was literally like the carpet of your house, very thin, not much give on it, not like the turf of the modern times.
Right, and so it was that. So, but before that, I mean, playing out at that parking lot is really a funny story to hear, because we're used to now looking at these pristine pitches, and to have a rock out there. And there's the goal.
A shot by Rupel. He comes in. Davalos and Rupel are right there. He comes in with the left footer and then just curls it inside the near post for his second goal of the game.
And that's one where you'd usually expect a right-footed player to hit it, try to whip it up and down over the goal. And Rupel, the left-footed player, able to curl it around the wall. And that happens when a goalkeeper did not position his wall properly. The guy on the nearest inside part of the wall, for them, his whole body should be on the outside of the post, should be on the outside of the goal. If the wall's positioned properly, that should never happen. Rupel saw that they were not set up properly, curled it around, and it's an easy finish. Rupel gets his second of the day.
And the Yellow Jackets lead it 3-0 here in the second half. And, you were talking about the different playing conditions and the pristine field as the Yellow Jackets trying to come up and attack again. That old AstroTurf basically was carpet on top of asphalt. I mean, there was very little base on the old carpet, and and the field had a crown at the time. So there was that pitch towards the middle, so everything drains, not like it is now with these synthetic fields and just gorgeous places. And there is the aspect that, when you're looking at the game of soccer, and a lot of people still think that's a game that should be played on the pristine grass fields.
Right, and I get why people think that as well. And it's also one of those situations where, sure, you look at the pros and they have the grounds crew out there, and as soon as they'll finish a game, you see them like
they're fixing it.
It's basically like you have the media out there still doing the interviews. They're still doing their thing. And in the background, you can see almost like combines, all the guys with the push mowers following each other in staggered formation and mowing that. I mean, they have grounds people who have, that's their job. It's just to strictly make sure it's a perfect pitch. And there's people around to take care of facilities everywhere around, colleges and everything. But the people in the pro game managing that, they have to really tend to it, and it's a lot of work.
BW with the lead 3-0, and we're talking about playing conditions, and you know what? In some countries, you're going to have fields that are full of rocks, and that's where those players learn that touch and that feel. That they don't play in the pristine conditions, and that's why you see some of the best players in the world. And I like what I've seen from American players in the last 10 to 15 years, especially on the pro level. And that goes to the number of kids growing up and the number of players in the youth leagues, in high schools and colleges nationwide.
Right, and every country, even specifically, has their different playing surfaces. This is actually a group, and I was still playing with this group in the spring, and we went down to Costa Rica. And down in Costa Rica, we got to play in a bunch of different places, some pro stadiums and things, and it was great. And it's funny to see, how every different stadium has different types of turf. Like one is like, okay, well, this is really nice. Like there's some good cushion under here. It's got good rubber pellets, and then you go to the next place and it's a grass field and kind of where it's sloped in the middle and drains a little bit more, and then the next place is also turf. But it just feels like there's concrete just directly under it where it's much, much harder. So I think no matter where you go, every place has their different surfaces, even when it comes to the pro games in different countries.
And it takes a wear and tear on the legs and the knees and the ankles. And, people think, well, it shouldn't be that bad. You look at the body of a soccer player and the wear and tear and how much running they do in a match. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and with the technology anymore, they can track, the distance of how far somebody runs. And in the pro game, if a midfielder plays, and there's a huge bounce.
Webb gets it in off the miscue, and the Yellow Jackets lead it 4-0. That was a high bounce, and you got to wonder, was that a turf bounce? We're talking about the field. That was a possible turf bounce over Cesani's head.
Well, it's a turf bounce, and Cesani misjudged. I think he forgot the wind was coming directly at him. The wind just floats it up over him. He tried to recover. I think it might have been over initially. The official said no. Webb followed it up, and for the Yellow Jackets, they get another goal. And I know Pitt-Bradford's going to be gutted by that one. The goalkeeper's going to be frustrated. But, you know, like we said, we talked about the surfaces, and that's something they wouldn't deal with on grass when they play at home.
So BW now leads at 4-0, 32 minutes remaining in the second half of action. And with Cesani now, he's going to have to be a little more, he's trying to be aggressive, but kind of with a little bit of caution after giving up that goal.
Yeah, and I think, again, we talked about this Yellow Jackets team. They maybe started a little bit slow in the first 5 minutes, and then now it's kind of turning again. Once they got past that first 5 minutes of the second half, maybe they aren't possessing as much. It is a bit more of what I thought would happen, the ball being in the air a little bit more and trying to float it over. But, you know, they're making it happen on the offensive end still, and they're definitely being aggressive. And this is a day where expect to see that bench unloaded for the Yellow Jackets team, and a bunch of guys will get playing time, which is very special, especially with the 50th anniversary and all the alums back, for as many people to get in as possible.
We'll have the restart. That one easily tracked down by Patrick Mihal. 3-2 record this year. Has given up 7 goals for the Yellow Jackets. Again, the Yellow Jackets looking to turn and go on the attack on the near side. Geither loops it around to Webb, who just scored his first goal of the season. Tries to go with another rocket right footer. Very strong. You see him really trying to ward off the defender, and that's that upper body strength that you want to have, as we'll have a change for BW in the net.
Yeah, and this substitution here is the first time Patrick Mihal will get to come out this season. He's played every minute so far, and the freshman Nolan Kellogg will now check in. Nolan Kellogg from Strongsville High School, just down the road here.
And you look at the Strongsville area and their youth programs, very good soccer coming out of the southern part of Cuyahoga County, as now he's going to get challenged early on. He'll make the slide coming up and getting a foot on it, and quickly gets back into position. But Pitt-Bradford looking to send it up ahead. A nice clear out by the defender for the Yellow Jackets.
And in the first half, we talked about it. That was the opportunity for Pitt-Bradford to come and try to get a goal against BW, because they were pushing forward so much on the attack. About the only way they were going to be able to get something is on the counter. And there was the opportunity. The pass was weighed a little too heavy, took him to the outside. And Nolan Kellogg, the freshman keeper, was tested. He wasn't able to get the ball out, but well done by the tall, long keeper to get his long legs out there and poke the ball away.
Now on the throw-in. Lots of bodies there. Good clear out by the defense, as there were 2 attackers there for Pitt-Bradford. Leading it up, turning around. Here comes BW right to left. Errant pass to Webb.
And there's a pull on the jersey, and that is going to be called a foul. I think the official took a minute to put his whistle up. I figured that had to be a foul. You saw the jersey getting yanked back.
Yeah, when the jersey is, when you're wearing a medium and it got stretched out to a large or an extra large, yeah, you're going to have that foul called. Again, inside the box area, Webb tracking it down on that far side near the touchline. Nice little turnaround move, but kicked out of play by Chase Ryder. On the throw-in. BW leading it 4-0. Danny Rupel 2 goals in the game. Jared Webb picking up his first goal of the game, and also Andras Fabian picking up a goal in today's game. Ball loose, errant shot, right side. Rupel keeps it in line, and he nailed it off the defender as he tried to turn on that back goal line. That was Michael Giapoulos. And, oh, man, that was in the shoulder head area, and he is slowly moving upfield.
Well, and that clearly wasn't intentional from Rupel. You can tell what happened.
That's been
The
Panthers
ball slipped away
pursuing
from him a
Tressel
little bit. He
Field.
tried to pull it back. He thought the ball was still
Score.
touching the inline, because if any part of the ball is over the inline, it is still in play. He pulled it back. He tried to hit the shot with that left foot, like we've talked about. He gets on the left foot and hits it. The official, though, what he didn't know is had put his flag up and said it was out for a goal kick. So miscommunication there, because the center official hadn't called it yet.
Davalos getting it over to Keeling as they try to work it in. That one's kicked wide.
The
You know,
men's soccer team
there's-
returns to action on Wednesday.
there's
when
been
they
a
travel
lot
to
of
nearby
talk
Oberlin for a
when
non-conference
in
matchup with
sports
Oberlin
concussions.
College at 7 o'clock.
We've heard about it in football. But I think what people are starting to realize, and the numbers are starting to increase, is the number of concussions in the game of soccer.
Yeah, and I think it's something that people overlook. You know, everything's about football this, football that with the concussions, but they forget that soccer players probably get hit in their heads more often than football players. You know, maybe it's not quite as severe when they're getting hit in the head, but when that ball comes in off of a goal kick or off of specifically a keeper punting the ball out as well, you know, on stats that I've seen, people talk about it possibly being about the impact of a 30-mile-per-hour car crash with your head.
Wow.
And something like that, you know, can definitely hurt. I mean, it's one of those things where if it hits the front of your head and you head it properly, you know, it's not too bad. But if you try to flick it on or something, you're going to feel it for sure.
Now, as you look at it, being a former player and stuff, and, you know, there's the safety issues. Everybody's trying to, you know, they play safe. You don't want to play out of control, as they Pitt-Bradford trying to send it down to T.J. Magro, and, you know, headers, knocking the ball away with your head. That's just part of the game, and really it's the proper technique that the kids need.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can't just tell these guys here at this level or in high school or even up in the pros, you can't tell them to not head the ball. It's a big part of the game. But I do think, you know, practicing headers when the kids are really little, I don't think that's necessarily useful. I think, you know, try to avoid, you know, really working on it and practicing it, and try to avoid them heading as much as possible for until they've gotten older, you know, because I think it's one of those things where you hate to see, you know, people who didn't know about this before, and they're out there with 6-year-olds and they're working on headers, and I think the more you can avoid that, the better it will be for the future.
BW coming back defensively, very tough on the mark as they try to turn and go with the counter. And really, there's so much good coaching out there, and I think you're absolutely hit it on the point when you're looking at those youth levels. The header really not a big part of the game at the younger ages. It's more of the foot skills.
Yes, it's definitely more about the foot skills and keep you on the ground. And you know how it is when it's the younger kids. You got the little bumblebee phase where wherever the ball goes, the whole swarm follows. And then you have the years after that where people are starting to figure it out. But headers really don't come into play until they get a decent amount older. So it's not really worth practicing it until later on. And it's like these guys here, you know, once you get later on in your soccer career, you don't really need to practice headers. These guys just go out to practice. They do their drills and stuff. If a ball comes in and they have to head it, they do. But they don't do like heading lines and things like that. So I think the more you can avoid it, because it's going to happen in games, the more you can avoid it in practice, the better.
Well, Pitt-Bradford now getting ready, and I think as you look at the youth, as you get older, 10U, maybe 11, 12, it's that level, if you're playing at that higher level of competition, where you might see it a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly, and that's probably about when it starts. You know, you see off of corners and you know, as the leg strength increases and the ball gets up, that's when it comes into play.
Rupel left alone, and he picks up the hat trick on his third goal. You cannot let Danny Rupel go to his left. The defense left him wide open, and he shot it into the back of the net for his third goal, leading it 5-0 BW.
And the funny thing with Danny Rupel about the whole thing is he breaks the record, the all-time goal-scoring record at Baldwin Wallace, and then he gets these new cleats, and you see him down there. He's got these gold boots now, so he's wearing the gold boot, and his first game wearing the gold boots, he gets a hat trick.
And he's going to come off the field right now as wholesale substitutions out there for Coach Ayers and his BW squad, as you looked at Davalos coming out, Rupel coming out, as well as Joey Geither and Keeling, and they did a great job giving BW a 5-0 lead here with 23 minutes remaining in the match.
Yeah, and coming into the game for them, Brandon Garibaldi playing at the 10. He started the game, did not start in the second half. He's back out there. Andras Fabian, who he got a goal earlier in the first half. He's back on the right wing. Nick Surowitz checks into the midfield, and then also here on the left wing, getting his first action of the day and some of his first action of the season, number 31, Matt Began.
Now you look at, we've seen Webb, we've talked about him throughout this game as the Yellow Jackets on another attack. High shot, lifted above the crossbar. I'm really impressed with Jared Webb, freshman, takes good command in the field. I mean, has that presence on the field, plays out of the back very well in the midfield area, and really I've been impressed with his play.
Yeah, I think he's had a good game. I think still regardless, you get to the college game and you've got a freshman, there's still a lot to learn, and I think Jared Webb still has plenty to learn as well, and sometimes it is hard for him to go in there and, you're playing with seniors in a way that's a curse and a blessing, because obviously, the guys who are going to be looked for to get the ball, it's going to be Geither and Rupel and those guys up there. So it is hard to step in and make an immediate impact. I think he's had a good game today. Certainly, I think Pitt-Bradford, no disrespect to them, but not quite as quality of competition as some of the teams they're going to see in the OAC. So it will be a test to see if Webb can handle the teams in the OAC when it gets to that point of time. But I do think he has made good improvements, and I think he'll have a good career here with this team.
Oh, BW leading at 5-0, looking for their second consecutive shutout if they can keep that pressure on Pitt-Bradford here this afternoon. Garibaldi with it, sends it to the far right side to Fabian, and it goes out of play. BW looking to go, they've won 2 out of their last 3 matches, so really it's been a Heckle and Dr. Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. You win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and here they are very close to getting their second win in a row. They were not able to put 2 wins together in a row this season.
Well, and the bad thing is, you look at that last game they lost here at home, and they lost that one to Denison. It was a game they dominated. They controlled the whole game, and I'm thinking off of the top of my head because I was on the call for it, but I believe it was 30 shots to 9, and they dominated it. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that's why they lost 2-1. When you get so many shots and you can't finish it, that's always going to be an issue, and Denison was able to win it off of just a nice shot that hit the inside of the post and kicked in, and that did it. So you can dominate a game, and another team can still win it. So it's important that today they dominated and get the 3 points.
This is a kind of game that Coach Ayers loves to have because he's getting so many players out on the pitch this afternoon for BW.
Yeah, and it's something that can happen in the non-conference that doesn't happen as much in conference because you have a lot of closer games, and it's nice just to get guys time. David Quayle checks back into the game. Michael Duzos, who started the game, is now in for the first time in the second half up top as he replaced Jared Webb, and it's just good to see more guys getting time out there.
And you want to get a feel for your teammates out there and work on some of the skills passing, but really it's not like they're not going to go out and play hard, as we have Brandon Garibaldi out there, and they're going to continue to try to play hard and score. That's their time out on the field. They want to do their best, make a good showing for the coaches to move up in the on the different lines.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is important about today is coming into this game. This is a game that the team expected to win. I think the coaches expected to win because of the result last year, because of how it went. Everybody thought, hey, we see that they've got a 3-1 record. Maybe the teams they haven't played against have been that great, but they are improved. So it is important to go out there and go, hey, this team's better. Even though we think we should be able to beat them, you've got to stay focused and you've got to get it done. And I'm proud of the guys for doing that today, because sometimes it is hard to stay focused. Like, hey, we should get this one done. They came out
Recently
here,
entered
they
into the
played
ball game
hard
for the Yellow Jackets.
in front of
Number
all the
15,
alums,
David
50th
Quinn.
anniversary,
Number 19, Michael
up
Dubas,
5-0.
coming in for number
And I'll tell you what, it would be
32,
special
John
if
Pascar,
this game
number
finishes
34,
with a
Jared
5-0 score with the 50th anniversary.
Absolutely, as you look at it and play on the numbers, 50 years, 5-0 on the board, and really would be a great thing. And I think the alums that came back here to BW have to be impressed with this team, and you don't want to see them lose. They're coming up, they're playing aggressive, great passes, and some high scoring. And, some of them, it could be who knows when they've come back to see BW soccer, and they get to see the all-time leading scorer in Danny Rupel.
Yeah, and it's special because there are guys who still live around the area. We'll see here and there guys who are recent graduates and are still around, or, there's a lot of my former teammates down there as well. But there are guys who've come in from all these different places who have not been around the program in a long time or pay attention to what's going on, but haven't seen the guys or seen updates in the locker room or other things, or they haven't even seen, because it used to be Stinger out there behind the pack where it was that grass field and the practice field. And, just last summer, well, not this past summer, but the one before, when this field was redone, that was turfed as well up there. So they're getting to see all of the upgrades, everything that BW's done around here, and everything that plays into the soccer program, and it is special for them to get to appreciate it.
And where they have that practice facility, for those that may be too young to remember, that was the old Browns training facility.
Yep, exactly, and the Browns still very much connected to BW over here. Again, just a couple blocks away is their training facility, and when they're not over there playing games at the stadium, they're oftentimes just down the road here in Berea, so it is pretty special to have them around.
That shot taken up and missed by David Quayle. As we are down to the final 17 minutes
for the Panthers.
of this match.
Jamal Buckley coming in for number 10.
Jamal
Chase
Buckley
Ryder.
coming in for Chase Ryder.
Curious about with this. I know that Reed's going to want to keep the shutout, and I know that Nolan Kellogg, the freshman back there, he's a fantastic goalkeeper, so I have complete confidence in him to do that. The question will be, how many defensive substitutions might Reed make in this second half? Because so far he hasn't made any. I do see some defenders warming up, but I'm curious to see if he actually will sub out the center backs, Attila Nagy and Trevor Ham. That will to be determined, but at this point, with the way they're playing and with the shutout, I might just keep them in.
And don't forget, Hoover's still out there on the field.
Yep.
So Coach Ayers has really made the substitutions on the midfield and the attacking end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hoover at left back and Jake Woodruff at right back have still been out there. I do see Kyle Eddy and Alex Kleck warming up. Both of them are substitute outside backs. They're both freshmen. We saw Kleck earlier in this game as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if Hoover and Woodruff do sub out at some point. But looks like Reed is still keeping his defense out there and trusting them to keep the shutout.
That one sent along the near touchline, and there's the defenders. Ham on the near side. Or make that Nagy coming up, sending it to Ham. Aaron pass. Now let's see what the defense will do, as Pitt-Bradford tried to make a counter and just not able. And that's been really the whole story for Pitt-Bradford today. They get a play, they get that miscue in the midfield, but they are not able to turn and make the counterattack.
Yeah, and that's something they're going to have to work on as they want to continue through the season. That's something that's important to have success. If you're not dominating a game, but another team does make some mistakes like that and gives you an opportunity, you've got to take advantage of the little sliver of opportunity you have. Today they haven't done it, but if it's a team that wants to have success in their conference play down the road, they need to get that worked out, and you can't squander opportunities granted to you.
It'll be another goal kick for the Pitt-Bradford team, finding themselves down 5-0.
And the ball up again, and once again the Yellow Jackets, that's Nick Surowitz in the midfield. He wins the 50-50 header, and I'll tell you what, Baldwin Wallace has won about every 50-50 ball that's been in the air today.
23 shots on the afternoon. They've held Pitt-Bradford to just one. So you talk about the time of possession now, Pitt-Bradford with an opportunity, and Nolan Kellogg comes in and clears it out with a nice pass on the near side. A little too aggressive on the pass in the midfield, almost really bouncing away from David Quayle.
It's well done by David Quayle to get back on the ball. Quayle actually a transfer. He came in from Wittenberg, and he's been with this program through the spring and now into this season. I think he's a good addition, just a good kid, a smart player, and he's not the biggest, but as you saw there, he's got the intelligence to stay with it as well and find the passes, and that's a great switch to Woodruff.
Quayle, when you talk about his size, 5'5", out of Lutheran West High School.
And 5'5" is generous. I will put it that way. You know how it is with those rosters. We've always got to give another inch or two to make us look a little bit taller than what we actually are.
It's 5'5" with the higher, maybe 2-inch spikes on the bottom of the shoe.
Yeah, just if you're standing on the track.
Not on the turf.
Yep.
I think that's how they do the measurements.
Exactly. Yep.
Corner for number 31, Matt Begin.
I was in the locker room for basketball in the preseason with the team that I deal with, and the coach goes, "What's your height and weight?" And you hear these guys saying it, and then you'll hear the other players, "Yeah, right." There's always that embellishment.
Got to make yourself look a little taller, that's for sure.
Trying to clear it out on the near side, still in play, or no? It looked like it was still in play.
I don't know. That was close. We've seen this with the officials a couple times. We saw it earlier when Ruppel tried to cut back. He thought it was still in. The officials said no. And this one, it looked like it was in play, and they said it was out. So, again, I think the players and the officials disagreeing, but BW won't complain with getting a corner.
On the corner, trying to swing that in. Good defensive play there by the University of Pitt-Bradford. Yellow Jackets still continuing to put pressure and still doing a good job on these 50-50 balls. Sent into the box, loose and cleared out.
Yeah, just off sides. Looks like that ball played into Nick Surwitz. Just a fraction off sides, and I see a lot more substitutions over there, so we'll see if the official lets them come on right away.
Well, they're going to hold them off for a little bit. Down to 11:20 remaining in the match. BW leading at 5-0. Danny Ruppel with 3 goals and a hat trick on the day after he became the all-time leading scorer just the other night against Worcester.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it would have been really cool to see Danny break that tonight, but he did it against Worcester, and I think the one thing that was very special was he was honored before the game, and I think that's great to have Carlin Van Der Esch out there, who is the guy that he broke the record of, and presents him with the game ball, and then Danny ends up getting a hat trick today. And it's very special. So now 50 career goals, and Danny Ruppel.
And leading it 5-0.
It's a 5-0 score. You have the 5-0 up there, and Danny now has 50 career goals. I mean, it's pretty special in how that works out sometimes.
Yes, it does. 50 is the number of the day here at BW. Let's just hope that the defenders, really the starters, still out there for BW, and Coach Ayers doing a very good job on that back line.
Yeah, they have done a great job today, and I do think at times Pitt-Bradford made it easy on them. We talked about they didn't take advantage of opportunities they had where they maybe could have countered. But needless to say, I mean, I have to give credit where credit's due with this defense, and they've come up and they've won about anything that they could possibly win. And if they can continue to do that, it puts them in a good position to keep winning games.
Trying to make the attack. Garibaldi comes in. That one just missing wide left. And what I liked in this last sequence of plays, the defenders really spreading it out, spreading the passes a little more to take more time off that clock, as we have more substitutions as they'll make some changes on that back line.
And as predicted, number 29, Alex Kleck, once again checks into the game for Jake Woodruff at right back. And then you have Zach Hoover coming off at left back, and going in for him is the freshman Kyle Eddy getting his first action. So like we talked about, the outside backs, I could tell that you had those guys warming up and they would make the substitutions there, but the center backs look like they're going to remain for the rest of the game. Last guy who also came in is Owen Feely, number 8, the midfielder from Buffalo.
So now Pitt-Bradford trying to make a run. Nicholas Pezzo from Lima, Peru. Plays it on the near side, goes over the end line. I was waiting out of Pitt-Bradford's team for number 25. I don't even know if he's here dressed. Anak Agun Kento Alit.
That's quite the name.
Out of Bali, Indonesia.
Yeah, and if he is here today, definitely would have been interesting to see him go in. So better you than me today having to say that name.
Since he wasn't out there, I just had to say it.
Right.
It's one of those, you know, you get those names that you just want to call it out.
Exactly. I mean, I think you probably spent the first hour in here just practicing that name, and you haven't gotten to use it yet. So you've got to get it out there. You worked hard on it practicing.
So BW trying to clear it out. Sending it up ahead. Just absolute gorgeous day here at Tressel Field, celebrating 50 years of BW soccer. BW leading it 5-0.
And one thing that you will notice is it's always great to get the guys in who haven't had as much time, but the pace of the game does change and the energy does change. It's down in the last 10 minutes. You know, like we talked about, it's a hot day. Some of the guys are getting drained, especially for Pitt-Bradford, who, you know, haven't gotten a sub because they don't have the biggest roster out there. So you just see the game slow down, and here we've got more substitutions. And I'm so happy to see this guy out here. This is Blake Knox, number 17. He is a senior. You know, you got a lot of senior players here on this team. He's one of the seniors who won't see the field quite as much because you know how there's so much depth in that defense right now, and you know, most teams don't sub out their defenders much. And so good to see Blake come in at center back and get some action here on the 50th anniversary. So the senior out there, is he'll be partnered with Trevor Ham for the next 6 minutes, as well as Shaheen, who comes out there. That is number 36, and he's on the left wing.
So BW now still with that big lead.
Entered into the game for the Yellow Jackets, number 17.
And
Blake
trying
Knox,
to, and you can see the pace is a little bit different as we go later into this match.
Number 7, Andres Fabian.
Ball's not as, the pass is not as crisp as you got the guys trying to get their field legs out there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it is hard. I know from, you know, I spent some time as a substitute, and you know, I spent some time up top for a couple years, my sophomore and junior year specifically, and you know, we had a lot of talent up there, and so subbing in and out, you know how it is, where you know, you can quickly cool off and then you've got to heat up again, and then you cool off and you heat up again, and it is tough to get in a rhythm sometimes when that's how it goes. So for some of these guys who are just trying to get their legs, it does take a couple minutes to settle into the game, and you don't have very many minutes left on the clock to actually settle in and make an impact.
And what is that mental aspect? You know, there are times you may not see any time on the pitch, and then all of a sudden you're called in. What is it, that mental aspect, not only if you're on the field, but off the field in studying the game?
And I think that's one thing where you just have to pay attention to what's going on and see what's happening. And obviously coaches will tell you what your assignment is or what you need to do to make it happen. And I think it's one of those things where people forget how much on the fly the game of soccer is. You know, it's not football. You can't go and huddle up and talk about what to do and how to adjust to it. You have to adjust to whatever it is on the fly in game. And even when a substitution happens, I mean, sometimes the coach will tell you, go out here and do this because this is where you can attack them. But they see a different player go off, so they make an adjustment themselves. And and it's one of those things where I can compare coaching in soccer as well as just playing is almost like boxing. I mean, one team throws a punch, the other team's got to throw a counter punch, and that's how the game is. Like every single minute.
You know, in football, they talk about adjustments at halftime, and really in this game, it's adjustments on the fly for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and soccer's as much of a mental game as it is a physical game because you have to think a lot. You have to, think about where the pass is, and a lot of people who, didn't necessarily play the game don't know how it works. But when a ball's coming to you before you get the pass, these guys are checking their shoulders because if you don't check your shoulder, you're going to get clocked by the defender coming in behind you. So you got to check, make sure you can turn, or if you have to go back. So there's a lot in play. There's a lot to think about, and you just have to be really sharp with it. And the reactions you have to have is incredible. So you get to a level like this, and it's crucial. And the guys, they have to do a lot while they're out there.
You hear the expression head on a swivel. In this game, you have to have that head on a swivel to know where your guys are at, where the defender is at. So it's that process, like you're saying, a chess match.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I know we just brought up football. You know how it is. It's your opponent's in front of you. You hardly ever have anybody coming up behind you, and actually with new football rules, not being able to come back and block in certain different rules coming into play, especially in the college game as well. It's one of those things where your opponent's pretty much in front of you the whole time, and that's not how it is with basketball, soccer, some other sports like that. You've really got to have the full 360 awareness of what's going on around you because your opponent could be anywhere.
Well, the back defenders setting back and getting ready as we're under just about 2 minutes remaining in this match as BW leads at 5-0 on the 50th anniversary of Baldwin Wallace soccer as they celebrate that here. And one good thing is the Yellow Jackets now getting it on a counter, looking to take some time off, spread the field a bit, and move it downfield.
That's a great ball there from David Quayle as he found Shaheen, and Shaheen not able to get the touch back to find Matt Began. But again, David Quayle really cutting out the passes right now in the midfield. And I've been impressed with, even though we talked about the ball movement's been a little bit different, there have been a couple guys that have impressed me right now with how they're moving it around and keeping possession.
Here we have a possible attack by Pitt-Bradford, but the defenders, nice job there by BW, playing back and clearing out and getting a toe on it and really causing disruption. Not much movement by Pitt-Bradford. They get it down to the field, maybe half of the attacking zone, but then BW's defense just clamps down on them.
Yeah, and I think the one main thing is that it hasn't been just one-on-ones. If somebody has missed a tackle for BW or they've made a mistake, you've seen the other guys come around, and it's been like a swarm. Pitt-Bradford has not been able to get forward, and I think even these subs out there right now, as that was Kyle Eddy who came back and made the stop. I think he did a great job recovering. Under
a minute to go in this match, and BW leading at 5-0. BW would like to do nothing more than just find a good clear out as an attack right there, and the shot goes awry, and BW will have it.
And I think they're going to take their time. I think this is about going to do it. I mean, 30 seconds on the clock. Nolan Kellogg's going to get the ball, and he'll boot it down the field. And I think all chances for both teams are about done at this point as we're now hitting 20 seconds.
And I'm sure some of the alums, maybe some of them don't realize, 50 years, 5-0 score. I know you brought that up, but really 5-0 on the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, it's special, and that's one that's going to go in the record books. And I hope, when it hits the 100th anniversary 50 years from now, I hope people are going back through the records and go, oh, that's really cool that all these alums came back for this. And it was a 5-0 victory.
So BW extends their record to 4-2 on the year with a 5-0 win over Pitt-Bradford, and really just a complete team performance. Danny Ruppel with 3 goals in the game. They outshot Pitt-Bradford 25-4 in this contest.
Yeah, and they dominated the possession in the first half. They got up and they kept the momentum their way, and like we said, the ball wasn't on the floor as much. They had the wind at their backs. They were looking for more of the through balls in the second half. and it worked still to their advantage and put up 3 more goals. Well done by this team.
Man of the match?
Danny Ruppel.
Absolutely. 3 goals by him. The hat trick that gives him 50 in his career on the 50th anniversary of Baldwin Wallace soccer as BW wins 5-0.
Yeah, it's all about the 5-0 to
The events with the 50th anniversary and the alums still will be continuing as the day goes on.
Yeah, it will be. As the alums will be around, they'll still get to see everybody and visit, and they're going to continue the event as it's just going to be a continued great day, and everybody's going to get to celebrate the win, and now the players get to enjoy it as well as they had to warm up before, so now they get to enjoy it. So I want to say thank you to all the alums who came out here, as well as a thank you to everybody in Sports Information for everything they do and for putting on this broadcast.
5-0 BW with the win on their 50th anniversary of soccer. That'll wrap things up here on BWYellowJackets.com. For Cole McDaniel, I'm Adam Mendoza. We want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. BW, a 5-0 winner over Pitt-Bradford. Thank you for joining us.